Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Florida Tips for Brits podcast. I'm your host, Andrew, and for those of you watching on YouTube, you'll notice that I'm kind of alone this week. That's right, I'm on my own. This is going to be a solo podcast because today I'm going to be talking about Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party. And Kirsty, my lovely lady wife, who normally joins me on the podcast, has never actually been to Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party, mainly because she kind of hates Halloween. Now, I know what you're thinking. Like, a lot of people will be thinking, what the heck, you hate Halloween? Yeah, she just doesn't get it. She doesn't get the fuss about Halloween at all, and she kind of wants nothing to do with it. So, not that she wants nothing to do with this podcast, but she said that she didn't want to come across as disingenuous. She's never been. She hasn't really got anything to add. So I'm kind of just going to do this podcast on my own today, talking about Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party. And of course, for the uninitiated, you might be thinking, well, it's August. What the heck? Why are you talking about Halloween already? Well, August in Disney terms is basically fall. They start Halloween on the 11th of August. The 11th of August will see the first Halloween party kick off at the Magic Kingdom. And that's going to run all the way through to November the 1st. In fact, I've actually just made a video on this channel about it where I do a complete beginner's guide. You can check that out. It's in the description down below. It might be an idea if you don't know anything about the Halloween party to maybe check that out first and then come back to this podcast, because in this podcast we're really going to be talking more about kind of strategy and how to get the most out of your Halloween party experience rather than what the Halloween party is as such, although we will touch on it. So maybe go watch that first, then come back here, or maybe stick around and then go catch that later. It's up to you, of course. It's your life. You can do what you want. So yeah, the Halloween party does start on the 11th of August and runs all of the way to the 1st of November. Now, I'm pretty sure that is the longest expanse of time that Disney has ever done a Halloween party for. I'm sure the comments will correct me if I'm wrong, but that certainly sounds like a long time. I know last year, 2022, they ran from the 12th of August to Halloween, October 31st, but this time they seem to be starting on the 11th and going all the way to the 1st of November. So there you go. That's what it is. Very, very briefly, for anybody who's stuck around but doesn't really know what the Halloween party is all about, I'll give you a brief overview of what it is. The Halloween party at Disney's Magic Kingdom is going to be an extra ticketed event. So Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party is going to cost you additional on top of your regular theme park admission. That being said, you do not have to have regular theme park admission or a theme park reservation for the Magic Kingdom on the day of your party to attend the party. In other words, if you're just interested in going for the Halloween party, you can just buy a Halloween party ticket. Now, they cost from $109 all the way up to $199 per adult. And basically the price varies on whichever date you want to go. So, you pick your date and that'll give you a price. Most expensive is Halloween, and in fact, it's probably already sold out. I haven't checked the calendar, but it tends to sell out pretty early. I know opening day is already sold out, obviously, because people like me there, vloggers and content creators, I think they basically account for most of the people there on opening night, honestly. It's kind of just a sea of cameras and stuff like that. So you basically buy the ticket, and that actually gets you into the Magic Kingdom as early as 4 p.m. The party itself actually doesn't start till 7, and it runs until midnight, with normal guests being ushered out the park from 6 p.m. So the park will close at 6 p.m. They get people out, and then the party starts in earnest at kind of 7 p.m. But even with just that Halloween party ticket, you can get in from 4 p.m. So it's kind of a good way to do Magic Kingdom. If you just want to do Magic Kingdom and the Halloween party, if you get there at kind of 4 o'clock, you can certainly get quite a bit done before the Halloween party even begins. So that's that. But as I mentioned earlier in this podcast, I am just going to go over a couple of things that I think will help you just get the best out of your trip to the Halloween party if you're planning on doing it this year in 2023. So obviously, what I'm going to talk about here is based on my personal experience and also the experiences of friends and family I know who've been to the parks, done the Halloween party numerous times. Your mileage may always vary. A lot of things I will say, it's very much a case of you just kind of have to suck it and see sort of thing. You will have to just kind of gauge it and play it by ear on the night. But I'll make that very clear as we're talking about those things. And by all means, you know, feel free to just completely disregard what I've got to say and do your own thing. After all, it's going to be your holiday, your vacation, and you should just certainly do what you want. But this is just, in my experience, this is just going to help you get a little bit more out of your trip to Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party. So as I alluded to in that introduction, we need to really talk about the very beginning, and that is, of course, if you want to go to the party, you're going to need a ticket. Now, a really good tip here is, of course, you're going to have to go online and pick your dates for your tickets anyway. And as you can see online, individual days have individual ticket prices. So some days are going to be cheaper than others. Now, what you want to look at here is the cheapest dates. Now, that's for two reasons. Number one, cheaper is more better. Obviously, if you get to go for less money, that means more money in your back pocket for you. So that's good. You can spend it on merch or whatever while you're there. But number two, the lower the price of the ticket, generally, the reason that price is lower is because, historically speaking, that has been a slower party day. Okay? So if you see a price at 109 or like, you know, I think there's some on there at like 115, 130, those are going to be the slower, the quieter party events. So right off the bat, number one, it's going to save you some money. Number two, it's going to be most likely a quieter party, which just means that you are going to get more done. You're going to get more rides done, more on them later. You're going to get more meet and greets. You're going to get more opportunity to buy merch and just get a lot more done. So I like to look for, because I'm cheap, I like to look for the cheaper dates and go for those because, as I said earlier, less is more when it comes to money. And getting on into the party, but then also because I know it's going to be a quieter, or it's likely, I shouldn't say it is, but it's likely, and Disney thinks so too, that it's going to be a quieter event, which basically just means that you're going to get more done, more value for money out of your $109, $115, $130 or whatever dollars per person. Because it's not the cheapest, let's be honest, it's not the cheapest party, this. But honestly, I'd be hard pushed to pick whether this or the Christmas party is the better one of the two. I certainly enjoy both. Like I say, my wife, she just kind of has this thing where she just doesn't like Halloween. So she would say Christmas party all day, which she really enjoys. And I actually think she would enjoy the Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party. Maybe I'll get her to give it a go one day, but who knows? For now, she's not having any of it. So yeah, that's the first piece of advice I would give you is get online, have a look at those dates, and pick a date that suits you with the lowest price for those two reasons, basically. All right, the next kind of piece of advice I would give you if you're thinking about going to the Halloween party, and again, we touched on it in the intro, is try and get there early. Now, get there at kind of, you know, you can get in from 4 p.m, so do it, because basically, if you get there at 4 p.m, yes, there are going to be regular day guests there, so it's going to be a little more crowded at that time. But it just means that you can get things like your wristband sorted, because they will wristband you up so they know who's who. While trying to usher other people out the park, they will give you a wristband. So you can get your wristband, you can pick up a map, kind of orient yourself with what's going on throughout the park. Get yourself settled, but also this might be a really good time if you're interested in purchasing any of that kind of Halloween merchandise to go and maybe check that out, because the merchandise queues during the party can get pretty wild. Like, they can be like out the store and down the street. It's crazy. So if there's something in particular, and they do sell out of stuff, they regularly do sell out of stuff. So my advice would be, if there's some piece of merchandise that you're particularly keen on, the earlier the better, really. Get in there and try and get that picked up. Also, you're not eating into any party time, you're eating into just like normal daytime. So they're like 3 hours. That's how I see them. They're just like, I haven't paid to be here during the day, they're just letting me in a couple of hours early. Use that to pick up like your merch and stuff like that. Because like I say, I have seen some pretty crazy merch lines later on, so that's a good way to do it. Also, it can be a good way to knock a ride or two out as well, because obviously the rides are open during the Halloween party, but obviously many of them are identical during daytime hours. So I'm not talking about some of the ones that have got special overlays. Again, we'll talk about them a little bit later on. But I'm talking about more like, like if you want to ride Big Thunder Mountain or something, you can ride it during the Halloween party, but there's nothing special about it. So if you want to ride it, maybe ride it during this period now before the party starts, that 4 till 6 or 4 till 7 period. Right then, so the next thing I want to talk about a little bit is, and this kind of does follow on from the last point I made about kind of getting a map and getting there early, is it's a good idea to have kind of a plan of attack when you're visiting one of these parties, so you can really, prioritize what you want to do so that you can get the most out of the most of the money you're spending, basically. So I know that might sound a little bit, especially if you've been to Magic Kingdom like a lot, you kind of you're well versed in where everything is. But on the party nights, things move. So, for example, you might think you know where that particular meet and greet is going to be, but not necessarily. So if you get a party map, that'll tell you kind of where all the meet and greets are. So if there's something that's going to be important to you, you can kind of figure your route out, whether you're going to do that, when you're going to do that, when you're going to meet Jack and Sally or whatever the case may be, them unique kind of Halloween party only meet and greets. You can do that. But also it shows you where all the special treat trail locations are. So the treat trails, of course, are, if you don't know, when you do go to the Halloween party, your admission fee gets you access to unlimited free, it's included in the price of your ticket, really, candy from these treat trails. So you can go they call it kind of trick-or-treating, but you just kind of line up in a treat trail, you go through, they give you handfuls of candy. The whole event's actually sponsored by Mars Wrigley, so you can get like Skittles, M&M's, Lifesavers, stuff like that. Lots of good stuff, actually. They give you a bag when you get to the party, so you can fill that up with sweets and take them with you, or eat them on the night. It's up to you. You can go back as many times as you like because it's unlimited. There's literally, I saw people when I was there, well, every time I'm there actually, getting just like absolutely phenomenal amounts of free candies. I mean, like literally their own body weight must be close to in sweets. I just got the one bag full, and honestly, the bag doesn't look that big when they give it to you, but it holds a surprising amount of sweets. It was fine for me. I brought them home for the kids because I went on my own last time, and I brought the sweets home for the kids, and they certainly enjoyed them. And there was enough. I've got 5 kids, and there was enough to go around. Well, there was only 4 of them at the time. There was enough to go around the 4 of them anyway. Let's put it that way. It's a lot. Also on the maps, you're going to find out which rides have got the special overlays. So basically on the night, you've got 4 rides that have got special overlays. You've got Space Mountain, which is basically just going to be completely pitch black. It's just in the absolute darkness. I think I'm right in saying it has a different soundtrack. I think it has a different soundtrack as well. I don't know, because it's not a ride I particularly enjoy, especially in the dark. I just find it a little bit, it's just not for me. Then you've got the Monsters, Inc. Laugh Floor, which of course isn't a ride. It's more of an attraction, of course, but this is unique for the night because they have Halloween themed kind of costumes on the monsters. It's also a treat trail. They do different jokes. They kind of it's very interactive. They kind of pick out people who are wearing particular costumes and kind of take the mickey out of them, for want of a better word. But as I say, it is also a treat trail. So 2 for 1 there. You go and get some sweets and you get to see a bit of an attraction. The other one they've got is the Mad Tea Party, which of course is the teacups ride that spins around. So maybe don't go on that if you've got motion sickness, but I quite like it. And that one, basically, it's different music and different kind of Halloween lighting. It's a lot of fun. There's not usually a wait for that one, to be honest. And then finally, but hands down for me, the best thing about the rides-wise about the Halloween party is going to be Pirates of the Caribbean. Because on Pirates of the Caribbean, for Halloween, they basically have live actors in the queue line. So there'll be people in like the dungeon areas. There'll be pirates trying to kind of like rope you into going off on some kind of adventure. And then when you actually board the ride itself, on the actual ride, you'll also see live action pirates. So you'll have kind of interactions with your boat and stuff like that. It's a lot of fun. You're never going to get to do that any other time. It's a very, very unique experience that is only for the Halloween party. So for me, I say it time and time again, if you're only going to do one ride while you're at the Halloween party, try and do Pirates of the Caribbean, because it's different every time as well. I've ridden it loads of times during Halloween parties, and the actors change and the narrative changes. And it's just, I think they're just given kind of, I don't know if they have scripts or they're just kind of given carte blanche to just kind of ham it up with the with whoever's in the line or whatever. But last time we were there was a pirate literally trying to rope a couple into going on like a treasure hunt with them, and she was excellent. You know, it was just really, really good, and it's just a great time. So yeah, if you can do one ride, Pirates of the Caribbean, but details of that will all be on the map. So grab one of those and get yourself a plan together. And you can do all this if you get there early. You can do all this before the party starts. So another massive draw of the party, quite aside from the rides, because there's loads of rides open. Loads of rides are open. I know I just talked about the 4 with Halloween overlays there. Lots and lots of attractions are open. Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, Big Thunder Mountain will be open. All the other stuff, Voyage of the Little Mermaid, all those, they all stay open. So there's lots and lots of rides. Peter Pan's Flight, that's another one, because obviously that's a long line during regular opening hours. Tends to be a lot shorter during the Halloween party, because of course there's a lot less people there and they're all doing other stuff as well. But the main draw really for the Halloween party is kind of the unique entertainment that's on offer. You're going to have a couple of things here that are the main thing. I'm going to talk about the stage show first. You got the Sanderson Sisters stage show. I forget what it's called now, but it's the Hocus Pocus stage show. Runs multiple times throughout the evening. That is certainly very good, especially if you're a fan of the movie. Good musical numbers for that. You've also got the Boo to You parade, which is probably the main draw, I would say, when it comes to entertainment. Certainly seems to suck a lot of people into it. And then, of course, you've got the Spooky Spectacular, which is the unique fireworks for the Halloween party. Now, when it comes to all these entertainment, whether it be stage shows, fireworks, or the parade, well, not the fireworks, but I'll come to that in a minute. Stage shows and the parade, my advice here would be to basically go ahead and watch the latest show possible. The latest show possible. Because what you will find is there are lots and lots of people, especially for the parade and stuff like that. The parade, very, very popular with the kiddos, as it should be. It's brilliant. It's a really good parade. I'm not a huge, honestly, hand on heart, not a huge parade guy. The Boo to You parade is on the other hand, pretty great. The Christmas one's really good as well. But the Boo to You parade, pretty darn good. The 9 o'clock parade, I think it's 9. I'll put the time on screen now. I'll check it. I'll put it in the description. I'll put it on the screen now. I think it's a 9 p.m. version of the parade. Tends to get very, very busy very, very quickly. So there'll be people literally staking their claim from that from very early, 7 o'clock, 7:30. Main Street will be getting lined by people wanting to catch that 9 p.m. parade. Now, this is because a lot of people bring the kiddos with them to these parties, and kiddos have a tendency to want to go to bed a little bit earlier. So they don't want to hang around for that later parade, which I think it's 9:15 and 11:15. Like I say, don't hold me to that just now. I haven't got my notes in front of me. But from memory, it's 9:15 and 11:15 are the two parade times. And I will correct that in the description down below if I've made a mistake. So I would always try and see that 11:15 parade, because in my experience, it is almost always quieter at that time, because lots of people with younger kids, the kids get fed up and they just leave early, basically, because you're getting towards the end of the party at that point. Finishes at midnight, so you got a lot of people gone, basically. I usually find that about 10:30 the party seems to really quieten down, and I think it's those people who've got the little kids, that's the breaking point for them. They've kind of done the parade, they've seen the fireworks, so the fireworks are once per party, 10:15. So around 10:30ish, whenever that finishes, that's when a lot of people tend to empty out of the park. Likewise, the Sanderson Sisters show, that has, I think it's 3 shows per evening, and the last of which is midnight. So it's literally, as the park is closing, they come on stage for the last show. This is a really good time to do it, because lots of people, obviously, they're heading for the door. But the other reason is you can hang back, catch the show, and then by the time you come to leave, lots of people have already left. It's going to be a heck of a lot easier to actually get out of the theme park. So I would catch those later versions of the entertainment kind of wherever possible. The one exception to that rule would be last year, opening night, it rained. A lot. So if you think the weather looks like it's going to rain, because if it does, they're not going to do the parade, and they're not going to do the stage show, and they might not even do the fireworks. So if it looks like it's going to absolutely tip it down with rain, that would be the exception to that rule, where I'd be like, you know what, I think it's going to rain later. I'm just going to catch this early show. But otherwise, I would definitely catch the later show. You're probably going to get a better spot for whichever show you're wanting to watch. And there's going to be less people there. You're just going to have a more enjoyable experience kind of all around. I do want to touch a little bit now on character meet and greets. With character meet and greets, you remember me saying earlier that some of this stuff was just going to be kind of suck it and see. It is very party dependent on what the best time to go and do a character meet and greet is. Sometimes, I would always say kind of get there early and do it early. But I've been there sometimes where you get there early and the lines to do the character meet and greets are absolutely horrendous, and later on they quiet off. Some people have been and they say, no, you need to go late, that's when it's quiet. I think on this occasion and with character meet and greets, you literally just need to play this one by ear, because it seems like no two parties are kind of ever the same. What I will say is that if you have already seen a parade, so for example, you see the 9 o'clock on 9:15 or whenever it is parade, and then the 11 o'clock or 11:15 parade, I think it's 11:15 parade is on, that's going to suck a lot of people in and probably leave the meet and greets a little bit quieter. That's kind of the only constant. When there's something like fireworks or a parade going on, don't miss the fireworks. You need to see the fireworks, unless you really have a problem with fireworks. They're fantastic. It's one of my favourite parts. It probably is my favourite part of the whole party, are the fireworks, because I love a good firework display. And but while stuff like that's on, obviously meet and greet times tend to drop. So again, going back to getting that map and prioritising what's important for you. Once you've got that map and you know where everything is, because the other thing is, don't forget, when the parade's on, your movement around the park is restricted. There'll be certain places you just can't go because it's roped off for parades. So this goes back to that, getting that map and planning, because if you get stuck on the kind of wrong side of the parade route and you think, oh, for goodness sake, I wanted to go to there, and I've now got to walk all the way around the park to get to there, or just wait till the parade's finished, you're stuck. So make sure you're on the right side of that line as things like the parade happen and stuff like that, because obviously it draws a lot of people. It's very difficult to kind of navigate if you're on the wrong side. Obviously, if you're on the right side, great, go do your thing. But it happened to me once. I wanted to go to Haunted Mansion one time, and I ended up on the wrong side of the street, and it all got roped off because the parade was coming through, and I was just stuck there. And I watched the parade, and it was great. But obviously, I'd have preferred to be on the other side, because I could have gone and ridden Haunted Mansion with probably no line while the parade was going on. So, and because I'd planned to, I was the early parade, I'd planned to catch the later parade. So yeah, just really just going back to the planning. Planning is kind of, I don't want to say to people just over plan stuff all the time, because I think it takes a lot of the enjoyment out of going to Disney. I'm very much a kind of a wing it type of person. But when it comes to these Halloween parties and you've only got a few hours and there's definitely stuff that you really definitely want to do, this is the time where planning can really pay dividends for you. So yeah, do think about that. Also, of course, you might want to check out, they have like obviously lots of Halloween exclusive snacks and treats available. So if you're hungry, there's loads available. Again, I made a video recently on this channel where I covered all of the specialist Halloween treats that are available. Maybe go and check that out after you finished here if you want to see details about those. Some of it sounds pretty good. Some of it sounds interesting, let's just put it that way. But there's lots of treats available, so if you're looking for something to eat, you can go ahead and get something like that. Just be aware, if you do want kind of food, proper food, not snack food, there are very, very limited choices during the Halloween parties. Most of the normal restaurants, normal inverted commas, restaurants are kind of closed or have been repurposed as treat trails and things like that. So make sure you get something to eat before you go there, and then maybe just fill up on sweets sweets and candy while you're there. That, of course, is all free. And then, of course, there are those specialist treats. Those are at an extra cost, though. So if you're going to get those, just be aware they're not included in the price of your ticket, and you are going to have to pay for those. All right, then, so we're getting to that part of the evening where the party is kind of, it's kind of drawing to a close. You've hung back late, you've watched the Boo to You parade late on, your bag of candy's absolutely bulging, and you've watched the final showing of the Sanderson sisters at midnight, and it's just time to leave, along with the other 100 bajillion people who are trying to file out of the theme park. You have to get back to your resort or your villa, or at the very least, your mode of transport that you got there in. So if you came in a car, obviously you need to get from the Magic Kingdom back to the I can never say this, back to the Transportation and Ticket Centre, or the Ticket and Transportation Centre. Forget which way around it is. The TTC. You need to get back there. And you've basically got a couple of different ways that you can do this. Number one, you can get a monorail. There's going to be a long line for that. Number two, you can get a ferry boat. There's going to be a long line for that. Or number three, you can get a bus. Now, lots of people don't even factor in that there are buses that get you back to the TTC. I found out by accident one year. It was a year when, I think it might have been 2019, they were doing a lot of construction outside of the Magic Kingdom, and they had loads of scrim up and different ways. It was a bit like a maze when you came out, and I just got funneled down like a passageway, and I basically ended up leaving through the kind of resort exits. So I was kind of heading towards resort buses, and I was like, damn it, I actually need to get back to the TTC, not go back to a resort. And I was going to go back in because I was staying in my parents' house. So I went to go back into the Magic Kingdom. A security guard kind of stopped me and said, why do you want to go back into the Magic Kingdom? Fair question. It had closed, obviously. It was late. And I said, oh, I've come out the wrong way. I just need to get back to the TTC. I want to go and just like stand in line for like the ferry or the monorail. And he went, why? Why do you want to do that? And I went, well, these just go back to the resorts, don't they, these buses? And he was like, you can go to like stop number 6 or whatever, and that'll just take you to the TTC. He went, save yourself some time, grab a bus. I was like, okay, cool, thanks. When jumped on a bus, I swear to God, there was me and 2 other people on the bus. We literally, there was just king of the bus. I was just on there, almost on my own. Now, considering how busy all the other methods of transportation back to the TTC were, I saved so much time. So I'm very thankful for that security guard kind of cluing me in on that, and that's why I'm telling you guys now, there is another way you can get buses back to the TTC. So don't necessarily think you have to get a monorail or you have to get a boat. You can grab a bus, and oftentimes they're much quieter than the other forms. Or The other thing is, of course, some of the resorts, depending on where you're staying, you can actually walk back to now. I believe you can walk, obviously you can walk back to the Contemporary. I think you can now walk back to the Polynesian and the Grand Floridian. There's a walkway that's open. It wasn't open back in 2019. So depending on where you're staying, you can do that. Finally, the other thing is, if you're looking to get something like an Uber or a Lyft, like a ride share, to get back to wherever you're staying, what you might want to consider doing, if they're available to book, is using Disney's own minivan service. Now, minivan is actually Lyft. It's just kind of branded as Disney, but it's actually operated by Lyft. This is the only ride share service that can actually pick up directly from the Magic Kingdom. Okay, so normal Lyft and normal Uber, they actually have to pick up from the TTC, so you still have to get back to the TTC. Minivans, although you are probably going to pay a premium for this, but minivans actually pull up literally at the bus depot at the Magic Kingdom. So it's a little bit of a hack there if you're using rideshare. Maybe you might want to consider just spending a little bit more and avoiding all those crowds and just getting your minivan directly from the Magic Kingdom rather than having to wait, because the queues can get pretty spicy. Let's just put it that way. Waiting to get out, it can get a little bit testy. And if you've got little kids who are tired and stuff like that, sometimes it might be worth the extra $10 or whatever just to get a minivan rather than trying to go back to the TTC and get an Uber or whatever. So, but choice is yours. So that's it. I hope my ramblings for this podcast weren't too hard to follow for you. As I mentioned earlier, I do have a guide to the Halloween party that I've uploaded to this channel, which is linked below. You might want to check that out as well, just to give yourself the full treatment if you're planning on going this year. Let me know in the comments if you are planning to go, when you're planning to go, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.